What's poppin'? It's Mello back at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about the Tory Lanez case, but not so much the case. Lessons that you should learn from this case. There's going to be 3 lessons. I don't give a fuck who you are. This is real shit I'm about to spill to you. Niggas ain't giving it up like this, so let's get into it. So, the first lesson, humility. We're just going to get this out the way. Tory Lanez, you should know that when it first happened, when this event first happened, Tory Lanez was silent. Tory Lanez was silent for a few months. It might have been 4, it might have been 6. He dropped this album. That was the first time we heard from Tory since the shooting. He didn't explain anything, but he dropped the album, basically making vague explanations for the shit. I have my opinions about that, but I don't think the album was too disrespectful or anything like that. I just thought it was a bad move. Music was fire, kind of proved to be a good move. He does his Instagram explanation, and he also goes on Clubhouse into the fucking pit of fire with angry black women and defends himself while being respectful all at the same time. All of that was cool. I mean, the album, it kind of pushed it, but that was cool. There came a point where Tory really started feeling himself. And I'm only going to go over a few things, but I know there's more than this that you can definitely dig up. Like one of the tweets that I'm going to put on the screen, which is basically him talking about, laughing at people who thought he was going to get sentenced and stuff like that. That's one piece that shows a lack of humility. Then you also have the horse leg in the one video, him taunting Megan Thee Stallion. But then you also have him getting his feet shot at in a video he did with Lil Baby. But then you got a whole bunch of other lyrics that he had on later albums that are pretty taunting and antagonizing the situation and stuff like that. All of those things, there's a bunch of stuff you can go and look up that he has done to basically show his ass in the court of public opinion when it comes to this, because you're not going to get sentenced in the public. There's no sentence in the court of public opinion, right? Right. Okay. But outside of that, this is the other thing he does. He beats up August Alsina. He whoops on August Alsina. All of this is reckless behavior, but it's also arrogant. And you may be asking, well, why is it reckless and arrogant? He a rapper. This is how rappers fucking rock and shit like that. Well, when you look at what happened, Megan wrote a letter to the judge for the sentencing and basically said she hadn't had a day of peace since the shooting. But then I also heard the Megan Kniff chick who was covering the whole case in the courtroom. She said that you could tell that the judge was not going to be lenient. And Tory had to plead with the judge to basically let him know he was a changed man and all of that. Somebody with the level of arrogance that he displayed through the whole time with all the antics that I mentioned and everything, that he was free and it was building up to this case. I guarantee you he didn't think he would be in that position. Let's go to the contrast of somebody who actually gets what, they should be doing. NBA Youngboy. NBA Youngboy has a set of cases or a case going on right now. He beat one of them, so that's great, but he's still on house arrest. NBA Youngboy's team, he signed to a label and he has a team. They understand what's at stake and they understand how to help him move. NBA Youngboy did an interview with Billboard where he played a character basically and was like, I'm so terrified of people and I'm going to stop the violence and I'm going to make different music. And I think about how my music has impacted people. I say character because, he went back to doing the same exact music, the kill people music, shortly after that interview, within a matter of months. That wasn't 6 months. But then on top of that, he then goes and does a bunch of stop the violence stuff on his lives and stuff like that. He's spreading the stop the violence message. But the most important move that he made was with TBG and Fredo Bang, basically squashing the deadly beef that they had and having a toy drive together. Now, it could have been a strategic move on both parties. But I hope that it was a real move and that the beef is really squashed and they don't have any subliminals or no quarrels after this. But all of that aside, the whole point of me mentioning all that, his team made sure that he was making the right moves to appear remorseful, to appear innocent, to appear like a good person. Because if he does get a guilty verdict, that is going to play into it. He already has a bad image, so he's trying to work against a bad image. It was also rumored that, his label took all his videos down at one point. This is true that they took all his videos down and his page was dry and stuff like that for a minute. They might have privated it or whatever, but they were trying to, get a reset to change his image and stuff like that. That's a speculation on why that happened. They were trying to do a fresh start. So with that, this is the difference between Tory and NBA Youngboy. NBA Youngboy, pretty positive. He signed to Atlantic. Regardless, he signed to no. He signed to Motown now. And he also has like Birdman in on a deal somehow. But he has major labels behind him. And major labels are going to use their resources and get PR teams and crisis PR to help him out. As far as Tory Lanez is independent. So he doesn't have the same resources. So that's how come he's acting the way that he acts, because my theory is that he didn't have crisis PR. He didn't have a PR team really on top of it, telling him how to act, telling him what to do. Because I know the one thing that they would tell him to do is have humility and not be conducting yourself like an asshole, beating up August Alsina and taunting a victim on the trial that you're about to go and have. So with all of that being said, that's the first lesson that you have to look at. Humility. Humility could have saved him, probably even shaved some years off the sentence, but it would have made the image look good to where the judge may have a little bit more remorse and not give him the full 10-piece. So let's move on to the next lesson. Awareness and control. We're just going to go with awareness. So as far as awareness, how does that play into this? Well, you want to have self-awareness. You want to have situational awareness. You want to have self-control. And even though situations may be out of your control, you have to be in control of yourself to whatever extent you can to mitigate the damage in the situation. Now, how does that play into this? Let's play out all the stuff that's going on as far as the night that everything happened. So Tory, Meg, and Kelsey are at a party for Kylie Jenner. Everybody's having a good time. They are getting drunk. Tory then gets back in the car with them, and they're supposed to be going someplace. They're supposed to be going wherever they're going, but they leave the party. Now, we're going to get into speculation because we don't know exactly what was going on, but some of the speculation is that Tory was fucking Kelsey. That's some of the speculation. Other speculation is Tory was trying to mess with Kylie Jenner, or he was. So that's other speculation. But regardless, we know some type of fighting or quarrel or argument happened. And we don't know what exactly the context of that argument was because people's narratives, the witnesses flipped and all that stuff. So it's just like you don't really know what's going on. After all the arguing in the car, they stop the car. They all get out of the car. Who knows what's happening then because the eyewitnesses flipped. But we do know a gun got shot and Meg got bullet fragments in her foot. Not an actual bullet going through her whole foot. But as far as that's what we know. So let's go back. And what am I saying as far as awareness? Let's start here. I go to the club dolo whenever I go to the club. I go in my own car. That's just how it is. So that's the first thing. If you move solo, you don't have to get in the car with anybody. Now, Most people don't do that. Most people go with other people. But this is the other thing. I may go to the club with some dudes, and if I do, I choose the right dudes. One thing I never do, and I've done this in the past, and there are reasons for it that I'm not going to get into because I'm not trying to drag the video. I'm not, and I'm going to just get gutter with you. I'm not going to the club with no bitch. What am I going to do that for? What am I going to do that for? I'm not going to no party with no bitches. That's just what it is. I will meet you there. You're not getting in my car. I don't give a fuck if we fucking, like, just meet me there. Like, that's what it is. Because at the end of the day, things like this can happen when you get back in the car with the same people. When I look at dudes, I don't see too many situations where the same dudes that came together end up fighting in the car and stuff like that. I'm positive it happens. But in my experience with all this going out shit, I have not seen that. Dudes usually get into fights with a group of other dudes, or they jump somebody if that's how it's going to play out. But on the flip to that, I've seen babes go to the club with each other and then fight with people from the same car that they came in. I've seen that too many times. Too many times. Now, outside of it, and also it can go the other way for girls. They could fight a bunch of other girls too. But the one time that I can think of where I seen dudes fight and they came in the same vehicle, it was a party bus with some bitches on it. And guess what? The bitches were at the motherfucking center of the disagreement or the fight, whatever. So with all of that being said, that's the first layer of things. If he had went dolo or just with a bodyguard or just with dudes and didn't have it to where any babe was getting in his car, this wouldn't have happened. If she had her own separate ride, this wouldn't have happened. That's just what it is. So that's the first layer of things. But then when we get past that, why, and we're just going to go off the assumption that some of the rumors are correct. Why the Bill Bellamy how to be a player shit is not the way to live. It's not the way to move. Why are you in the same car or even at the same party with two babes that you fucking, you know, and you may even be misleading one of them to where they may catch feelings? Do you have the awareness to even know? Awareness again. Do you have the awareness to know this chick might go ham if she find out some shit or do you have that awareness? So, you know, with that, that's a whole nother dynamic. If that was going on, that creates the mess. But then the last thing I'm going to say, this is the last part. Alcohol is involved. If you were going to be drinking and you were a celebrity, you should keep it low, because Tory apologized for his alcoholism and stuff like that. Who knows how much that actually played into it. But the other thing is, you should be in an environment where, you know, you're going to be safe as far as if you're drinking. And outside of that, if you are going into an environment, you should watch what you drink. But still, if you're taking my advice as far as going solo and shit like that, if you plan to get so drunk that you can't drive yourself, you have to have the Uber plan. You have to be fucking with the Uber. So if you look at all those things that I mentioned, those could mitigate all the risk of this whole situation. And when you are a multi-million-dollar man, it's about moving smart. But I'll tell you what else it's about. Just like the NBA YoungBoy situation I mentioned in the last lesson, it's about having people around you who are going to help you make the right decisions. I'm going to give you two examples. One, the Kevin Hart situation. You've seen that he had the whole documentary on and stuff like that, where he had the scandal and allegedly one of his friends set him up, and he's married, and the scandal was basically he had an affair and stuff like that. Well, if he had the right people around him that could actually keep him in check and stuff like that, they would not let him fuck with those skeezers, and they would at least say, look, if you're trying to cheat, we got to facilitate a better situation than just random hoes. That organic shit is done. And that's if they really want, if he really has a desire to fucking be a slime ball and shit like that. Because at the end of the day, a divorce for him is catastrophic if he actually has it. So that's one thing. But then when we go to, and yeah, let's get it out the way. He's wrong. He shouldn't have been doing that shit in the first place, blah, 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 whatever. But the second thing is Drake. When you look at somebody like Drake, Drake has the right people around him. When he was about to crash out and say whatever he was going to say in his, what do you call it? Second Pusher T diss? I said Pusher T. Pusher T diss. Jay Prince stopped him. Jay Prince stopped him. Jay Prince stopped him. NBA Youngboy was trying to act like he was going to have beef with Drake. Jay Prince stepped in again. Went and had a conversation with NBA Youngboy to shut that whole shit down. Drake had an incident where he was running into, back into a strip club to fight some people. Guess what? His goons was right behind him. And I'll tell you one thing that I'm pretty positive of. He mentioned how Chubbs did detail and stuff like that. Drake is definitely somebody with a bunch of people around him who will handle his dirty work when it comes to anything physical. And it's not because Drake is incapable or anything like that, but Drake is the bag. Drake is the golden child. You don't let that nigga get in no jam, no motherfucking drama, no nothing. You handle everything for this nigga. He's, in some cases, the investor. So the goons got to protect the investor. But then sometimes he's the investment. And Jay Prince has to protect the investment. And the thing about that, Drake may not have the awareness of where these actions could go, but he has people who are aware from the outside who can stop him. And even then, if we want to look at just one thing I can point at, when it came to the Kendrick beef, I think he pumped the brakes on that, because he wanted to be able to move around in California or whatever the case may have been. It didn't really go full throttle on it. And I don't think Jay Prince stepped in and told him not to do that. I don't know. But that would be one example of him having awareness himself. So with all of that being said, that's awareness. So those are two things. Now, the third and final lesson, I'm going to just say blueprint. Tory Lanez has the blueprint on how to beat cancel culture as a rapper. Period, point blank. Because I cannot think of anybody who has had a bigger scandal than this. Something more detrimental to their career than this. That overcame it. And overcame it in a very short period of time and actually thrived. Now, the first person that I think of is R. Kelly. That's really the only person I think of. And even at the end, he fumbled the shit 20 years later or 15 years later. But as far as Tory Lanez, he did something different. Tory Lanez, when this happened, he was radio silent. And the first time he spoke about the incident was in the music. People were waiting for the message. He made sure he got profited off of the message. Now, while I think that's slimy, it worked. It worked. And I'm not going to lie, it was fire music. The R. Kelly part of this comes in when he is pretty much feet to the fire. He is just dropping all types of fire music. It's like he can't miss. Now, he's not making hits to where the hits are just fucking up Billboard or something crazy. But everybody who listens to the music acknowledges the music is good. And I'll tell you one thing he did do. He sold an album, 1 million copies in 1 minute as NFTs. So he went platinum in 1 minute, made history with that. But then on top of that, the album is going for $50,000 now as far as the NFT. So people can sell that same album for $50K now. Crazy. So just with that right there, just making good music, the first time he's speaking is through the music, but also let's throw this in. He did do a live where he spoke with a lot of conviction and created a narrative to where he didn't do this. And one of the things I remember saying when it happened is either this dude actually didn't do this shit, and I'm low-key compelled to believe him with the minimal evidence that's out now, or this is one of the most craziest liars of all time. This is one of the most potent liars of all time. But we'll continue. We won't even get into which is which or any of that. This is what the effect was from all the music and the conviction that he had and all of that. When it came to the academics chat nigga demographic, when it came to a lot of just regular hood consumer niggas that fuck with Tory Lanez music, a lot of the men got swayed. A lot of the men got swayed, and they, in the court of public opinion, in all conversations that I've seen, for the most part, took Tory's side in this situation. They took Tory's side. They didn't say we gotta wait and see it. We gotta wait and see everything play out. We gotta wait and see the evidence. They took Tory's side based off his word, and guess what else? The fact that his music was hot. That'd be it. That'd be it. Now, we could get on some black shea butter feminist Twitter shit and just say, oh man, it was misogynoir. These people hate black women and da-da-da. We could get into all of that. But regardless, he was good in the court of public opinion as far as most dudes on the internet. A lot of dudes that I know and see in real life. A lot of dudes just period. He fucked it up by being arrogant. And then the case fucked it up by pretty much having some things that went against him, like the phone conversation. But all of that being said, he beat cancel culture. Now, we could have a conversation another day about if cancel culture is a myth or not, but he beat cancel culture. And that's just what it is. There's also some other things that we can get into, like, you should have that, backing behind you as far as a label or at least somebody, a bigger entity, especially when you have shit like this going on. Also, because that's embedded in a couple of the lessons. And also, there's speculation that, him selling that 1 million albums in 1 second as NFTs as an independent artist really upset the labels. And, there's a conspiracy going around with that because, it said that Roc Nation told him it wouldn't be in his best interest to continue to defend himself. Something like that was said to him. I just seen somebody else say that. I'm not about to verify that shit because I don't really care. I keep it real with you. This is not fucking CNN right now. If the channel hit like fucking 20,000 subscribers, I'll be doing my due diligence and the videos will look a lot better than this shit. Just keeping it 500,000 with you. But outside of that, let's recap the 3 lessons. Awareness, humility, and blueprint. Those are the things that I want you to take away from this. And even then, there are more things outside of that, but I'm not trying to make a 60-minute podcast video. So with that, let me know your thoughts, how you feel about everything that I said, and any other lessons that you think should have been in this, but I'm out. And don't be like, oh man, the lesson is don't shoot black women. Don't come in my motherfucking shit talking about that. Duh, motherfucker. Don't do crime. Don't do crime. But I'm out.